Did you know that the Vikings were raiding the coast of northern Europe after gunpowder had already been invented? Today we are uncovering the facts behind the invention of gunpowder, and how its creation predates the terrifying Vikings. The Vikings were an adventurous and bold seafaring people hailing from the regions of Scandinavia, encompassing present-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. The Viking Age spanned from the late 8th to the early 11th century, and characterized by extensive maritime expeditions, raids, and settlements across Europe, Asia, and even North America. In fact, the term Viking originally referred to a specific activity rather than a specific group of people or ethnicity. The word Viking is derived from the Old Norse word Vikingur, which means pirate, raider, or seaborne warrior. In its earliest usage, Viking described the act of embarking on a maritime expedition, typically for raiding, trading, or exploration purposes. Over time, however, the term came to be associated more broadly with the people who engaged in these activities, namely the inhabitants of Scandinavia. Thus, Viking is commonly used today to refer to the Norse seafarers, warriors, and traders who flourished during this period. Vikings were renowned for their maritime prowess, exploration, and martial skill. They embarked on daring voyages across the seas, navigating treacherous waters in their iconic longships, capable of both oceanic and riverine travel. Viking traders established extensive networks connecting Scandinavia with the wider world, exchanging goods such as furs, amber, and slaves. Additionally, Viking settlers established colonies in places like Iceland, Greenland, and the British Isles, where they left a lasting imprint on local culture and society. The Vikings' legacy extends beyond their exploits as warriors and adventurers, encompassing their contributions to language, law, and governance. In fact, around 2,000 common English words today still trace their roots back to the Vikings, including words such as husband, knife, window, cake, and even egg. The Viking Age stands as a remarkable period of European history. The onset of the Viking Age is conventionally dated to the late 8th century, with the infamous raid on the Saxon monastery of Lindisfarne, in now modern-day England, in 793 CE. An event that sent shockwaves across Europe and marked the beginning of an era of Viking expansion and bitter wars in northern Europe and Britain. At the heart of Viking society was a warrior ethos that glorified bravery, honor, and martial prowess. Viking chieftains, or jarls, held sway over local communities, leading their followers in raids and battles aimed at acquiring wealth, prestige, and territory. Warfare played a central role in Viking culture, with raids serving not only as a means of acquiring material wealth, but also as a means of asserting dominance and expanding influence. Norse sagas and historical accounts provide rich insights into Viking warfare, emphasizing the use of traditional weapons such as swords, axes, spears, and shields. Vikings were renowned for their craftsmanship, forging weapons of exceptional quality and durability. From intricately patterned swords to elaborately decorated shields, Viking weaponry reflected both functional excellence and aesthetic beauty. The Vikings' martial prowess was legendary, and their combat techniques were honed through years of training and experience. Central to Viking warfare was the concept of felag, or loyalty to one's comrades, which fostered a strong sense of camaraderie and mutual support among warriors on the battlefield. At the heart of Viking military strategy was the raid, a lightning-fast assault on coastal settlements or monasteries aimed at capturing plunder, slaves, and valuable resources. Viking longships, with their shallow drafts and sleek design, allowed raiding parties to navigate rivers and coastal waters with speed and agility, striking fear into the hearts of their enemies. Skirmishing, ambushes, and hit-and-run attacks were common tactics used by Viking warriors to exploit their mobility and strike at vulnerable enemy positions. Viking combatants were equipped with a variety of weapons suited to different fighting styles and situations. Swords, axes, and spears were the primary melee weapons used by Viking warriors, each with its own advantages and applications. Swords were prized possessions, symbolizing status and wealth, while axes were versatile tools capable of inflicting devastating blows in close combat. Spears were effective weapons for thrusting and throwing, allowing warriors to engage enemies at a distance. In addition to melee weapons, Vikings also employed ranged weapons such as bows and arrows, javelins, and slings, providing covering fire and support for advancing infantry. The Vikings' proficiency in combat was not solely dependent on their weaponry, but also on their armor and defensive tactics. Viking warriors wore a variety of protective gear, including helmets, chainmail, leather armor, and shields. Shields in particular were ubiquitous among Viking warriors, providing vital protection against enemy projectiles and melee attacks. Yet, despite their reputation as fierce warriors, the Vikings were also skilled craftsmen, traders, and artisans, leaving behind a rich cultural heritage that continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world. Gunpowder, also known as black powder, stands as one of the most transformative inventions in human history, shaping the course of warfare, technology, and cultural exchange. The history of gunpowder dates back to ancient China, where it is believed to have been discovered during the Tang dynasty, 618–907 CE. While the exact origins of gunpowder remain somewhat shrouded in mystery, historical records provide tantalizing clues about its early development and use. It is believed that gunpowder was discovered accidentally while Chinese scholars and alchemists searched for methods of transmutation, turning metals to gold, and a recipe for immortality and the elixir of life. The earliest references to gunpowder appear in Chinese alchemical texts, where it was described as a mixture of saltpeter, potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur. The invention of gunpowder ushered in a new era of pyrotechnic innovation, with Chinese alchemists experimenting with different compositions and applications. Initially, gunpowder was used for a variety of non-military purposes, such as fireworks and medicinal compounds. However, the explosive properties of gunpowder were soon recognized and harnessed for incendiary devices, and eventually weapons of war. By the 9th century CE, gunpowder had become an integral part of Chinese cultural and technological life, fueling the development of firecrackers, rockets, and other forms of entertainment. One of the earliest recorded uses of gunpowder in warfare occurred during the Song dynasty, when Chinese armies deployed primitive flamethrowers and gunpowder-propelled arrows against invading Mongol forces. These early experiments laid the groundwork for the development of more sophisticated weapons, such as cannons, firearms, and explosive projectiles. The dissemination of gunpowder technology was facilitated by the Silk Road, a vast network of trade routes connecting East Asia with the Middle East and Europe. A trade route well known and frequented by Viking merchants and raiders. The interactions between the Vikings and other civilizations were multifaceted, spanning trade, diplomacy, and occasional conflict. Their voyages and expeditions brought them into contact with a diverse array of cultures, from the British Isles to Russia, Byzantium, and the Islamic world, shaping the course of medieval history and leaving a permanent mark on the cultural landscape of Europe and the wider world. Through exploration, commerce, and cultural exchange, the Vikings played a crucial role in bridging the gap between East and West, North and South, and shaping the contours of medieval civilization. These interactions with other civilizations exposed the Vikings to new ideas, technologies, and cultural practices, enriching their own society and shaping their worldview. Norse sagas and historical accounts attest to the Vikings' fascination with foreign lands and peoples, depicting them as both fearsome warriors and curious explorers. The exchange of goods, ideas, and cultural influences facilitated by Viking expeditions contributed to the development of a vibrant and dynamic medieval world characterized by diversity, innovation, and intercultural exchange. Due to their legendary bravery and skill as warriors, the Vikings were regarded as highly sought-after mercenaries. In the Byzantine Empire, Viking mercenaries known as Varangian Guards served as elite bodyguards and warriors in the emperor's service, participating in campaigns against the empire's enemies and safeguarding its borders. The Byzantine Empire, with its capital Constantinople, was a major center of commerce, culture, and learning in the medieval Mediterranean world. Its strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia facilitated its power and importance, as well as the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies between East and West. Byzantine scholars and engineers were quick to recognize the military potential of gunpowder and began experimenting with its composition and applications. Greek fire, a highly flammable incendiary liquid used in naval warfare, is often cited as an early form of gunpowder-based weaponry developed by the Byzantines. The recipe for Greek fire was a closely guarded secret, used with devastating effect against enemy fleets during naval battles. It was typically deployed through specialized siphons or hand-thrown grenades, creating a wall of flames that could engulf enemy ships and personnel. In addition to Greek fire, the Byzantines also experimented with other gunpowder-based weapons, including early firearms, grenades, and cannons. Byzantine scholars translated Arabic texts on gunpowder technology into Greek, further disseminating knowledge of gunpowder within the empire. Given the status and importance to which the Viking Varangian guards held within the Byzantine Empire, it is highly likely that they may have been equipped and familiar with gunpowder-based weapons. The adoption and adaptation of gunpowder technology by the Byzantine Empire had profound implications for medieval warfare and geopolitics. Greek fire and other gunpowder-based weapons gave the Byzantines a significant military advantage over their enemies and allowed them to maintain their dominance in the eastern Mediterranean for centuries. The introduction of gunpowder to Europe catalyzed a period of rapid technological innovation and military transformation. Initially employed in siege warfare and naval battles, gunpowder-based weapons such as cannons, bombards, muskets, and handguns gradually supplanted traditional weapons like swords, spears, and bows. This transition fundamentally altered the nature of warfare, favoring disciplined infantry formations and fortified positions over the hit-and-run tactics favored by medieval knights and Viking warriors. While the adoption of gunpowder-based weapons varied across Europe, their impact on military strategy, tactics, and logistics was profound. The development of gunpowder artillery enabled besieging armies to breach fortified walls and fortifications, leading to the decline of impregnable castles and the rise of more dynamic, mobile forms of warfare. The widespread adoption of firearms also democratized warfare to some extent, as the ability to wield a firearm was less reliant on years of martial training and aristocratic privilege. Despite its transformative impact on European warfare, the Vikings existed during a time when gunpowder technology was still in its infancy, and its use in warfare extremely limited both geographically and militarily. Furthermore, the widespread introduction of gunpowder-based weapons would have represented a significant departure from traditional Norse warfare tactics. Viking combat emphasized individual prowess, bravery, and tactical maneuvering, with warriors engaging in close-quarters combat on land and at sea. The transition to firearms and cannons would have necessitated changes in military strategy, training, and logistics, posing challenges to the established norms of Viking warfare. So, while some Viking warriors may have come into contact with and even used gunpowder-based weapons, the adoption of such weapons was not widespread and had very little impact upon Viking culture and traditions. The legacy of the Vikings extends far beyond their era, leaving a mark on the cultural, linguistic, and political landscape of Europe and the wider world. Despite the eventual decline of Viking influence in the face of Christianization, political consolidation, and changing geopolitical dynamics, their impact continues to resonate in modern culture, shaping perceptions of the medieval world and inspiring countless works of literature, art, and popular media. The Vikings existed during a dynamic period of human history marked by exploration, conquest, and technological advancement. While Vikings may not have directly engaged with gunpowder-based weapons, their interactions with other civilizations exposed them to a diverse array of cultures, technologies, and ideas suggests they did come into contact with this technology and these weapons, and may indeed have fought with, or at least against, those that possessed and used these weapons, especially in the case of Vikings in the employ of the Byzantine Empire. By exploring the Viking Age in the context of emerging technologies like gunpowder, we gain valuable insights into the complexities of medieval warfare, cultural exchange, and the enduring impact of historical civilizations. Thank you for joining us for another fascinating after-dinner fact. If you enjoyed this exploration of time paradoxes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. From Viking raids to hand grenades, that's pretty neat.